Alan. And we're live! Welcome to episode 194.
Is it?
I don't know. Is it?
It might be.
I don't know anymore. For this whole changeover, I just watched a video today of YouTube saying stuff's changing. End of the year. Get on the new stuff. We are officially on the new stuff. Today's episode,
we've worked out the kinks, haven't we?
We are steadily working out the kinks. I'm hoping everything's great, but you know what? Right now, I just assume everything's working and not a problem is going to happen.
Nice.
But the big thing today is that today we thought we would dedicate a little bit of time to bring, hopefully, Savior to Riot Brewing up there in Chemainus. Who right there? Yes, there we go, Alan. We've got a bottle of which one is that? The Vortex.
So this is their
Porter?
Vortex Robust Porter. This is what I could find on the shelf. We've already done Working Class Hero. That was also available, but I did find this Vortex Robust Porter. There isn't a lot on the shelves here in Victoria, there was nothing
anywhere, apparently
in Vancouver. And probably not up in Dave's neck of the woods either. So we are forced to drink something else.
So to illustrate the problem that if a craft brewing place, an establishment in your area has trouble, if they are having issues, I suggest you go to their aid and help them in any way that you can. And I certainly hope that Riot Brewing will hopefully get some relief soon, because they are very close to apparently shutting their doors. I did look up the news earlier. There was nothing obvious right now. So hopefully that means that they're working away in the background, getting beer brewed and hopefully getting some assistance from people that have money, unlike us who have none. So in that post-apocalyptic way, if craft breweries suffer and close, we are going to have to resort to things like this. The Old English 840-ounce beer imported by the Miller Company, or into Canada by the Miller Company. Surprisingly hard to find, by the way. And this. Oh, yes. And Colt, move your hand to the left there, to your left, whatever. Never mind, Dave. The Colt 45, which we all know Lando Calrissian back in the 80s, and apparently 2016 was a pitchman for the Colt 45. Now, why did we pick this beer? Because these beers are known as malt liquor in the United States, and actually here, because it still says malt liquor on it. Now, Alan, why is it? Why are people not allowed to call it beer?
Well, apparently in the States, it is you can't call a beer if it has an alcohol content greater than 5%, which is why all American beers are under that mark. If it's over 5%, then it has to be called legally malt liquor. So things like your Old English 800 and Colt 45, although they're technically labeled as malt liquors, are actually, for all intents and purposes, beer. Now, I do point out that a lot of the beers that we do on this show have alcohol contents of greater than 5%, which makes a lot of what we would drink malt liquor in the eyes of the U.S. government.
You know,
so we're actually doing this, aren't we?
We are, because the one thing that Alan and I were talking about, and Dave earlier, I just about dropped Dave entirely. Oh, here's Dave. The big thing with this is there's a few things that I noticed right away from this beer here, is that the label is really cheap. It actually rubs off. If you press it a bit hard, it actually falls off, which I've never had happen with craft beer. And nothing else says quality beer than a twist top. Not a cap, not cork, not wax, but a twist top. So, Dave, you got the 6-pack. Alan somehow managed to find a tall can.
Yeah.
What are the differences between the can that you have, Alan, and the can that Dave has? Dave pointed at the can.
Size.
Actually,
Well, that's
in
not
this case,
unusual.
size does matter. You can
Well,
see
they're
there's a
pretty
lot
similar.
less.
Yeah, okay.
This can is
To
more
your
stripped down.
to your right there, Dave. There we go. Now I can see it.
It's really bright. But yeah,
So,
there's not much on here. Unlike Alan's, it's got all kinds of stuff on it.
So
Now
I
I
just
do
wanna-
want to.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I do want to point out that part of the reason why we're doing this is because it was suggested to us by a viewer named Weekend Nachos, who a few months ago said, "Hey, you guys should try the Old English 800 because it's really fancy," something to that effect. And we kind of laughed it off. And then we thought, well, because we were going to do Riot Brewing this week and you guys couldn't find any of their product, said, well, maybe we should do it this week then. And
so if this goes well, Weekend Nachos, kudos to you, sir. If this goes badly, it's Dave's fault. So
I'm popping this open
I'm
here.
I'm twisting the cap, which by the way didn't.
Okay,
didn't
so
take much to open that up.
I opened up the thing and immediately an evil spirit came and flew out.
Oh
And,
man.
yeah.
Okay.
It put a hex on me.
Gonna do my pour here. This looks like my assumption is this is a lager. If you really boil it down.
I think if you boil it down, you'll have nothing.
You boil it down, you'll have sadness and tears. But the Old English 800. Now this has been around since the 1960s, specifically 1964, and since the 80s, it's been available in a 40-ounce size. Which, by the way, if you're wanting to have 1.2 liters of beer, you'll never find a better deal, because I bought this thing for it was $7, $7.50, something like that.
So I haven't even
why it's very cheap.
I haven't even tasted my beer, and I can already smell it. It smells like stale beer.
Now I'm curious why it says the alcohol by volume is between 5.9 and 8%. I'm wondering if that's like due to just the type that they're making. Like they must have different styles.
What, on your label?
Here we go. So in 2000, by the way, Old English 800 was purchased by the Miller Brewing Company back in 1999. And according to their Wikipedia page, if you buy this beer on the East Coast through the Midwest of the United States, it varies from 5.9 to 7.7%. In Texas, only 4.2. On the West Coast, 7.5. In Old English High Gravity. Is that what I have? Does it say High Gravity on here somewhere? It does not. That's where you get the 8%. And in the European Union, it is also 6.1. And in the rest of North America, I'm assuming parts of the U.S. U.S. as well. See, I'm choking on the fumes. That's where the 8% comes from. Now, it is available.
The paint is coming off my walls.
Okay, so here we go. Now, I'm assuming it smells like, and I'm assuming this is going to be exactly like just a typical light lager, like Labatt Blue, Canadian, that kind of thing. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, and even
give it a try. Give it a try.
What's that beer? Budweiser.
Yeah.
No.
It's a little bit sweeter, isn't it?
It's definitely sweeter than I thought. I'm just looking.
I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Let's put it that way.
It is definitely not.
That's the nicest
bad.
I can put it.
So, by the way, if you go to ratebeer.com and you look up the world's worst beers, this beer is number 18 on their list.
We're just swamp ape,
but also is 47th, depending on the version you get. Oh god.
What about Colt?
Yeah.
Colt is. Let's see if it's on this list. No, it is not.
So
there
Colt
you go.
is a much better beer than Old English 800, apparently.
That is what I'm saying. But I did a bit of looking, and I did find some articles about this article came out in 2010, asking the question: is Old English truly the world's worst beer? While Budweiser may be going to desperate lengths to remind people that it exists, you can rest easy that it is in fact not the world's worst beer. So I'm assuming they're talking about just the average Bud.
Right.
And according to out of a rating of 5 on several different places that rate beer, it averages 0.96. So it doesn't even get to 1 out of 5. So apparently, Old English beer, according to their survey of multiple things, including Rate Beer and Consumer Reports, Old English 800 3.2, which I'm assuming is the 3.2% version, which is the one that you can only get in Texas. That is the worst beer ever. And I suspect the reason for that is that people just simply can't get loaded enough to forget that they're drinking this swill. And if you're at 8%, you're like, a glass in, and you're like, it's not that bad. It's not too bad. But if you're drinking 3.2, it's like, you want to pour it out into the nearest plant.
So Dave, I have to know. We haven't heard much from Dave here. I want to know what he's the guy that doesn't like IPAs, who isn't really a beer drinker. Dave, tell us what you think of your Colt 45.
Well, I guess it's not as terrible as I was expecting.
These are glowing reviews, guys.
Yes. We're all like, yeah. I don't know. I will say this, being the non-beer guy, it's easy to drink. So I can see why somebody who's not into all those fruity beers, this is what they go for. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't challenge your palate at all.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
But having said that, I mean, when I look at, like the people that I know who are, who enjoy those average run-of-the-mill kind of beers, and I'm talking like Budweiser, Lucky, and stuff like that, even they are above this. Okay, so basically what it comes down to here is, I think the worst beer that I ever reviewed on this show was probably the Alberta Genuine Draft, which we did in like one of the in the first 50 or 60 shows, something like that. And that was a lager, and it was probably the worst beer that I think I've had on the show. This beats that.
I'd like to I'd like to read a couple of ratings from ratebeer.com, some reviews of this beer. For some reason, everyone describes what exactly they got the beer from, like whether it was actually a glass bottle, a plastic bottle, a can. From 40, now this is for Old English 800, from 40-ounce clear bottle, pours clear yellow, good malt profile, slight bitter and citric. Flavor is plain malt and boring. My favorite is alcoholic finish. I would say, isn't it supposed to be alcohol finish, not alcoholic finish?
Well, I guess how many alcoholics does it finish?
Multi flavor of caramel, fruits, and alcohol.
What? Well, that person's having like LSD while they're
A blonde color, almost no aroma, would be better if there was no flavor. Unfortunately, there is, and there's nothing good in it. With a fitness, now this is actually something you commented about, with a finish that tastes like sweeteners. Very bad. Interesting.
That's what I get from this. They added sugar to this to get a higher alcohol.
Of course. Oh, easily. I mean,
but that's cheap. That's a cheap way to go. I mean, if you want a higher alcohol content, there's ways that you can go about doing it that doesn't cheapen the beer. Adding sugar cheapens the beer. But I mean, it's Colt 45 and Old English 800.
Here's the most recent rating for Colt 45. Bottle pours dark golden with a head. Notes are totally disgusting. Sweet corn infection and bad malt. Malt liquor might be the worst liquid on the planet to drink besides piss. This is iffy at being a beer, but it has a unique malty aroma and taste. In college, a pint was 99 cents, and that was your night. Only drawback is the next day headache. I gave it a high rating for nostalgia reasons. Best drank with bottle in brown bag. In West Philadelphia, this beer is king. Very different, but still a nice alternative to dying. I can remember the old black and white commercials when I was a little kid with a dude at a table and bulls, sharks, what the hell? And other things around him in different commercials. I wonder if he's talking about Lando Calrissian. Or sorry,
maybe.
I keep calling him Lando. Billy D. Williams.
No. He'll always be Lando.
This is true. He'll always be Lando. A 24-ounce can poured into a lager glass. Best before 8/27/2018. By the way, he wrote this review on 8/29/2018. Pours crystal clear, medium golden yellow color with a 1-2 finger, fairly dense, rocky white head with great retention that reduces to a small cap that lingers. Nice, spotty, soapy, lacing, cling. Oh my God, this guy was on forever. Herbal, grassy bitterness on the finish, lingering notes of cracker, corn, white dough, bread. What the mother? Is this guy being racist in here? What is this? I'm going to be quiet now. Holy cow! That went south very quickly.
So I think the point that we're trying to make here is that we need to support our craft breweries. If they start to get into trouble, this is what the kind of thing that we're going to be left with.
This is what's going to happen if you're walking down the street late at night going, I think I should get a beer. We're going to have nothing but getting beaten over the head with Lando Calrissian's favorite drink. Right. And, or as this person calls it, the teenage drinking entry point.
I suppose.
I don't know why I'm holding this bottle up, but I remember when I was a kid and my parents would buy those glass bottles of Coca-Cola. There were only 750 milliliters. They would bring them home and we'd have pizza and Coke. And I thought it was the best thing ever. This is more than those other bottles. And I don't know why anyone drinks this.
I've had about a third of this can, and I feel like I've had enough.
By the way, this is the very best review you can see regarding Colt 45 on ratebeer.com. Yep, there you go. It was probably a bit longer than that, but I just thought.
So everybody, run, don't walk to Riot Brewing and buy some of their product. Save them. They're in big time trouble. They just a little bit of background. They had a couple of storms that they dealt with over a 2 to 3 month period that has basically crippled their business, and they've been limping along ever since. And they have until just a few more days now. If they can't make a go of it by July 1, they're shuttering forever. So let's help keep them afloat. And go out and buy some of their product today. I think they're coming up with some sort of a share purchase plan, so that would become like a publicly owned kind of thing. I haven't heard much on that. If you're looking for a business to invest into, that may be the one, because they brew some pretty good beer, and they market it well too. I mean, they partnered with the artist from California to do a lot of the artwork on their labels,
which is an amazing. Their labels are incredibly unique in at least in the craft beer British Columbia world, I guess.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that I really hope that I have a soft spot for Chemainus because way back in the day in 2000 or so, I spent a bit of time up there. Went to some of the plays at their local theater, that kind of thing. I bought a crib deck there. I remember that. But I really hope that that they survive, and I certainly hope that if they don't have any information really about this whole not profit sharing, this whole purchasing thing, whatever it looks like, I certainly hope they do it soon, because I think I would definitely want to join in to support a brewery like that.
Absolutely.
Because they're awesome. I mean, this is the thing. We've had the working class here. I've had a couple more. I've had their I think it's a wheat beer that I cannot remember the name of. It was good.
I had their Junk Punch IPA. That again was good. They brew good beer, and they're good people, and they run their business right. So let's do what we can to save them.
Yeah, because I really think that there are a ton of craft breweries around that. The last 10 years, I cannot believe the number in Vancouver already. But it's to me, it's sad. I mean, Vancouver is one place, Victoria is another. How many breweries in Victoria? How many craft breweries do we think right now?
Oh my God, I have no idea. I would say a dozen to 15.
So, but Chemainus is pretty damn small. If you've ever been to Chemainus, BC, I recommend it. They have murals that you can check out. It's also the gateway to a couple of the Gulf Islands or smaller islands out there. But yeah, this makes me sad, because I wish I'd heard about this, 4 months ago. I only heard about it last week, when actually I think it was Alan. I think you brought it up. So it's unfortunate that I wish.
It's the old English 500 or 800.
Yeah, it's totally
killing your brain.
So I really hope that they can figure something out. I have not been able to find this beer anywhere, which does not surprise me, considering the BC liquor store system. If you're a brewery, they have a certain you have to keep a certain level of supply going to the BC liquor store, because they go through a lot of beer. But I guess that they haven't been able to do that with their stuff, because this beer is not available. Their beer is not available anywhere, at least on the mainland here, except for Prince George, Kitimat, and there was one other town which I've forgotten, which is up north somewhere. But so and you can tell by their social media world that they have not shared anything on Twitter since like April. They haven't shared anything on their Instagram since sometime in May, and they were pretty active. They were doing stuff, at least a couple posts a month, and now they've just not done anything for a while. So that, to me, I hope is not a sign of what's going on, but I certainly hope that that if they, you know what, I'm gonna call them tomorrow. They're like, dudes, what's going on? And I'll save them single-handedly.
All right,
excellent.
Maybe a partnership.
Hey, a partnership with the Crafty boys. We'll bring them up. We'll bring up their. Oh, geez, I just about knocked this ball on the floor. That would suck. Which is worse than beer that you don't want to drink, really? is beer
having it
that
all
falls on the floor and then dries, and then
And I
for
think,
weeks you get that beer
I think
smell.
that stuff would eat through the concrete.
You know, but my first vision was the scene in Aliens where they're looking at those holes in the ground and like the holes in the ceiling. You know, like some alien, was shot and its acid blood ate through 9 decks of. Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I want to make fun of this beer, they've been making it for a long time, so it shows you what the hell I know. But also the specifically the 800, I'm thinking, or at least beer that comes in this size, this malt liquor. I imagine Colt 45 must somewhere come in this in similar bottles.
Yes, I think it does.
Has really worked its way into the music industry. Where as I was looking just before we started, I was noticing there were a lot of songs that reference the 40 ounce. So, I guess it's popular in a lot of places.
A lot of rappers like it. People who live in trailer parks and homeless.
Just gonna put that over there. Sorry, you were saying something. I have either been drinking Old English 800 or I had a stroke, as I say almost every week. Wow. I don't know. You were saying something about people living in trailer parks and that.
I did, yeah.
Oh my God,
I take it back. I take it back. Because that would be insulting people in trailer parks.
Don't the trailer park boys drink this stuff?
I don't know. Do they?
Googling to the trailer park boys.
All right.
Oh my God, some of that beer came out of my nose. It really is starting to hurt. Trailer park boys beer. Let's see if they actually made their own beer by this point. Hey, there you go. Trailer Park Boys Booze.com. Wow. I don't know what to say about this. Is this a real thing? Yep, it's a real thing. They sell Freedom 35, the Trailer Park Boys lager, and the Liquor Men's Old
Freedom
Dirty
35.
Canadian whiskey. Wow. By the way, I can tell you something else you shouldn't do with this beer is laugh and have it sucked out through your nose, because my sinuses are just like, what are you doing? What was that? So anyway, that's about time. We're already at that. Just went by fast because I think my brain is intoxicated. But there you go. Old English 800. This is for you, Weekend Nachos. This is really your fault. But we turned it into hopefully a force for good, that we will hopefully something will happen and Riot Brewing will survive.
And this can here, what's left of it, has a date with my sink.
Dave, how much did you get through in that can, sir?
Half.
And do you feel that the beer is, as you said earlier, not as bad as you thought it would be, but is it something that you would actually finish? Like it's okay, it's not amazing, but you know what, it's not so bad that I'm going to vomit back into the can.
Well, it's funny because I'm having an argument with myself about that exact thing. Do I just waste it and dump it? Or do I drink it because I've opened the damn thing? I don't know.
It's a hard call. It's a very hard call. I think I would probably I just finish it off.
Vomit.
So anyway, thank you everyone for coming out and checking us out. Make sure to follow us, all that kind of fun stuff. But more importantly, go to Riot Brewing's website, see if you can find their product somewhere, or if you're in the Chemainus area or you're within driving distance, go to them and embrace them and hug them. They need the support. And a little podcast like this, as much as I'd like to pretend would save them outright. Sadly, that's not going to happen, especially when I had to drink this today. So there you go. Thank you all for watching. And as always, Alan, take us out.